This is the Sri Ramana Maharshi satsang, a time to listen, reflect, and deeply meditate. Know yourself and be always free and at peace. Welcome. I'm Richard Clarke. I'm not a guru or a teacher. I just love Ramana's teachings, and so I want to share it. I'll be reading from today and commenting on the Ashtavakra Gita chapter 2, verses 8 through 13. These verses, Janaka is speaking of the joy of self-realization. I am not other than light. The universe manifests at my glance. The mirage of universe appears in me as silver appears in mother of pearl, as snake appears in a rope, as water appears on a desert horizon. As a pot returns to clay, a wave to water, a bracelet to gold, so will the universe return to me. I am wonderful indeed, beyond adoration. I cannot decay, nor ever die. Though God and all the universe should perish to the last blade of grass, I am wonderful indeed, beyond adoration. Even with a body, I am one. I neither come nor go. I am everywhere at once. I am wonderful indeed, beyond adoration. I am astounded at my powers. The universe appears within me, but I do not touch it. So now let's explore these Ashtavakra Gita verses. They express what is also Ramana Maharshi's teachings. And here we're continuing with Janaka's words on the joy of self-realization. 2.8. I am not other than light. The universe manifests at my glance. In this verse, Janaka's perspective aligns with the core principles of Advaita Vedanta, emphasizing the nature of the self as consciousness, as light, and the universe manifesting within the self. Janaka says that his true nature is not different or distinct from the essence of pure consciousness. In this light of this consciousness, the entire universe manifests. All existence emanates from and within this source. The verse gives the profound truth that your essential nature is this light, this consciousness that is the universe, that your awareness is self-luminous, aware by its own light. This self-knowledge shifts your focus from external distractions to the inner realization of the self, recognizing that everything is a manifestation of this divine light is key to your spiritual journey. 2.9. The mirage of universe appears in me as silver appears in mother of pearl, as a snake appears in a rope, as water appears on a distant horizon. Janaka uses analogies to illustrate the illusory nature of the universe in relation to the self. Just as silver seems real, but is actually a reflection in mother of pearl, or a rope is mistaken for a snake, but it's just an appearance. The world's appearance is likened to a mirage, transient and ultimately unreal on deeper investigation, just as it is all just an appearance within the consciousness that is your essence. This verse encourages investigation into the nature of reality. It invites you to question the solidity of the ideas that make up the separate and perceived world, and to recognize the underlying unity of existence. By the knowledge that the universe manifests as a play of consciousness within yourself, you can cultivate detachment and inner peace. 2.10 As a pot returns to clay, a wave to water, a bracelet to gold, so will the universe return to me. Janaka illustrates ultimate dissolution of form and their return to the source. Just as various forms like a pot, wave, or bracelet are fundamentally the same substance, clay, water, or gold, so too the universe and all its manifestations ultimately merge back into the universal self. The universe manifests within the self and dissolves back into the self. The verse emphasizes the cyclical nature of creation, sustaining and dissolving within the cosmic order. All things come and go within the self, which remains always unchanged. This reminds me of the verse Purnam. It translates as, that is perfectly full. This is perfectly full. From the perfect fullness comes forth. When that perfect fullness comes from perfect fullness, the perfect fullness alone remains. This verse underscores the impermanence of all appearances. Knowing that everything emanates from and returns to the self brings detachment from transient phenomena and a focus on the eternal essence within, to let go of what comes and goes in favor of what is always there. 2.11 I am wonderful indeed, beyond adoration. I cannot decay nor ever die, though God and all the universe should perish to the last blade of grass. Janaka emphasizes the eternal and indestructible nature of the self. Here, the self is described as beyond adoration, beyond anything that can be praised or worshipped, because it is independent of all forms and concepts. It exists on its own, needing no form. Consciousness without an object. The verse highlights the permanence of the self amidst the impermanence of the phenomenal world. The God in this verse is that God that is a part of the triad of the individual, the universe, and God, which appear and disappear together and are all just mental views. They all manifest within the vast absolute, Brahman. This verse inspires profound trust and surrender in the self. Recognizing your true nature as beyond decay and death instills a deep sense of security and inner peace, allowing you to navigate life's challenges with freedom and equanimity. 2.12 I am wonderful indeed, beyond adoration. Even with a body I am one. I neither come nor go. I am everywhere at once. Janaka praises the omnipresence and transcendence of the self, even with the appearance of a physical body and the illusion of coming and going. The self remains eternally present and unchanged. The self is free and untouched, even by the body. This verse challenges conventional ideas of identity tied to the body and asserts the boundless nature of the self. Knowing the self is not limited by time and space, and being beyond the limitations of a body brings a sense of expansiveness and interconnectedness with all of existence. It invites you to shift your identity from transient forms like a body to the eternal essence that permeates everything. The last verse for today, 2.13. I am wonderful indeed, beyond adoration. I am astounded at my powers. The universe appears within me, but I do not touch it. Janaka reflects on the wonder and mystery of the self. Despite containing the entire universe within its consciousness, the self remains untouched and unaffected by the play of the universe. This verse highlights the detached yet inclusive nature of the self's awareness. You are always the knower and never the known. Contemplating the vastness as a detached witness leads to a profound shift in perspective. It's a place of freedom. It's a place of non-attachment. It encourages you to recognize your inherent capacity to observe and embrace life without being entangled in it. You are free to observe without the need to react. In these verses, Janaka conveys the profound truth of the self as pure consciousness, from which the entire universe arises and eventually returns. He emphasizes the eternal, unchanging nature of the self, which transcends all forms and remains untouched by the play of creation, despite containing the universe within its expansive awareness. When Janaka is talking about the self and the universe. Remember that he is talking about you and what is real within you. So, inquire, know yourself, and be always free and at peace. And now a video from Nome, Undivided Reality.
The reality is indivisible. Existence is infinite and eternal. The self is that, without any differentiation whatsoever. The existence of the self is without beginning and without end. If we misidentify with the body, then we assume our existence has a beginning and an end, a birth and a death, and that existences are multiple, that there are many selves, each inhabiting a body, or even more than one self within oneself, such as a higher self and a lower self, yourself and the self. Are we bodies? The body has moved. Has existence moved? If we abide free of the misidentification with the body, free of the assumption that the attributes of the body are the attributes of the self, what then are we? The undivided nature of existence, the immovable nature of existence, is the unchanging, undivided nature of consciousness as well. If we misidentify with thought, then we will conceive of a multiplicity of minds. But are you thought? Any thought? Any number of thoughts? If you are not what is thought, if you are not anything conceived in thought, what are you? The inconceivable, undivided, immovable and unchanging, immortal and thought-transcendent nature is only Brahman. What do you assume to be yourself? The knowledge of Brahman cannot fit inside limited assumptions, limited definitions. But examine what you assume. The ego notion, I, is itself pure assumption. If we ask ourselves, by whom is it assumed? That illusion vanishes. with the disappearance of the individual I notion, all that remains is absolute existence, absolute consciousness, timeless and undivided. With Sri Bhagavan's grace, inquire deeply to know your undivided existence. Find out how there is only the self, not yourself, just one self. What do you assume? Who assumes? They are the same question. An assumption assuming itself. Can such an illusion be real? The reality ever is, just as it is. It is your existence, the only existence there is. Know that existence as Brahman, as the infinite consciousness, as Shiva, as God. Free of false assumptions constituting ignorance. You are innately infinite. Free of the false assumptions constituting misidentification. You are innately eternal. Who is to be ignorant of what, when all that there is the one self?
All right, and now let us take some time to inquire within ourselves. You exist. Notice that you exist, and you know that you exist. And inquire, how can I discern between what is real and what is illusory in my experiences? What is transient and what is always within my experiences? What does it mean that the universe is appearing within me like a mirage? Can I experience the continuity of existence beyond the fluctuations of the physical body and mind? Look now. What does it mean to remain untouched by the experiences unfolding within my awareness? Who am I? What am I? What is the nature of my existence? What exists? Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Well, I still like this Gita.
I like it. Wonderful.
Hey, Carol, I couldn't remember who the uh, figure was that Shiva and Parvati merged into each other. Ardhanandashwara, was it?
That sounds right. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah,
Okay. I was just thinking it because this picture is from Pavla Kundru, and that's where that was supposed to have happened.
right. The picture that you're in backup, that's your
Yeah,
background?
my background.
Huh,
I was just trying to think of some background that would be appropriate to Janaka and the guys.
well, it's all appropriate.
Now, the photograph that was on the picture of Nome in the video I played was also taken at this place, at this location. And that was still in Ramana's fairly early days, between the time he was at the big temple and the time he went up the hill. You know, he would go these different peaceful places, and then they would discover he was there, and then they weren't peaceful anymore. One
Yeah,
tour,
when you think about the state of the last one.
uh-huh. At Gurmurtan, I guess the first place he stayed after the big temple, then uh, they felt like getting to feed him was a privilege, and people had fights over their place in line to feed Ramana. He didn't stay there too long.
I wonder what he would think now.
Oh, I think he would go some other place.
Just,
There's still places up on the mountain and things that are pretty unknown and unexplored. You know,
yeah.
so there's still places he could go and be with his beloved mountain. Some of them require a younger Ramana than an old one, though.
Yeah.
Now, I found a bunch of caves there, Evelyn, and a lot of them are not too hard to get to. All of them you still have to do some climbing. So if if it amuses you when you're there, go to my blog, and I have uh, a bunch of them written up.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going to try when I get there and I've got my 5,000 feet worth of blood cells still in me. I'm going to try to walk around or do some walking around the hill.
Uh-huh.
And walking up to Skandashram isn't difficult for me. So
Okay, right. It seems like
yeah,
you do. This is one of the benefits from your 2+ hours a day with the doggies is your legs still are pretty good.
yeah. But then I'm just sitting here in the heat thinking, oh man, I don't know. You'd have to do all that definitely December and January.
Or
Right.
at 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, we would do
Yeah, no,
Carol.
I plan to do that. If I can.
Uh-huh. Carol is not entirely
Go
an
ahead.
famous early riser, and even there, she would get up early enough so that by 6 in the morning we'd be out on the trail. You know, while it was still cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think you liked it.
I did. It was a beautiful memory.
All right. We'll see you next week. It's been good to be together. Namaste.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you.
Thank you.
These videos bring Ramana's teachings into your direct experience. Click subscribe to see more. Click thumbs up to like, and send questions and start a dialogue with a comment.